Sometimes issues are very complicated. They may involve situations that have been evolving for a long time, or they may be connected with many events and many different people. To enable an issue to be understood, you may need to find out what information exists and whether you have a legal right to access it.
Every year, most of us pay our taxes to the government, and every few years we elect the representatives who will run that government. And therefore we're handing over power and money. And we have a right to know how that money is spent and how that power is exercised. In over 82 countries around the world, access to information or freedom of information laws which give everyone the right to ask a question and to get an answer from their government. The international standards are very clear that access to information procedures should be simple, fast and free. And generally they are. In the great majority of countries, filing a request for information is free. So we have many examples from around the world where people have asked the government a question, got information, and used that in public debate to change the way things are done.
FarmSubsidy.org is an initiative that lobbies for access to information about government farm subsidies across the European Union. It aims to ensure that journalists and civil society are able to scrutinize how the billions of euros of funding allocated for farm subsidies is spent.
Within our campaign at FarmSubsidy.org, when we're successful, we're almost faced with an avalanche of information, and deciding which information to draw attention of the media to is very difficult. And if you've got an enormous data set and you're trying to find out ways to present it to people, one really good way of doing that is to make it relevant to them in their locality, in the area where they live. And a great way of doing that is to use a map, to plot the data out on Google Maps, and it's quite easy to do that now. The technology is free. We've done that with Sweden because we got excellent coordinate information for each payment for Sweden, and so we were able to present 7 years worth of farm subsidy payments in Sweden on a single Google map, so people could zoom right in to find out where the money goes in their area, and that really makes it relevant to them, much better than looking at a great big long list that goes page after page, boring text.
But getting access to government information is not always easy, whether a freedom of information law exists or not.
It took me 3 years to get the data on the UK farm subsidy recipients, and I'm not quite finished, in fact, with my request. So you have to be prepared for a long fight and to not take no for an answer, and to use any tactic you've got, whether it's your legal rights or whether it's the kind of political pressure that you can apply through anyone you might know who's working in the area, or maybe even through the media. You need to just build up the pressure using your rights as a citizen.
In another example, technologists and rights advocates obtained information from multiple sources, including government and non-government agencies. The information came in many different forms, and so the challenge lay in making it meaningful to a global audience who could then take action.
A project I was involved with was the featured layers on the Darfur crisis in Google Earth. We were a team of about a dozen people assembled by the US Holocaust Museum, and they wanted to, in a very engaging way, raise awareness of what was happening in Darfur. So we really pushed the boundaries of what could be done in Google Earth, and had a great amount of information, spreadsheets, photos, videos, plus the base layers in Google Earth themselves, which were recently updated satellite images of often of villages which had been destroyed in Darfur. And we spent about 6 months working with that data to really pay proper respect to the situation there so that we could convey a powerful message. It got great coverage by Google and in the media, and thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions, have seen those layers and greatly raised awareness of the issues there. We also provided direct means for people to get involved in the campaign. So from the layers, there were links to sign petitions and get even more deeply involved in the cause.
It is not always an easy task, exercising your right to information and then finding the right ways to present dense information to engage the public. But it is an important tactic in info-activism. If you can persist, you may be rewarded with significant leaps forward for your cause.